We just got to Columbia, South Carolina, where there are a number of protesters who are gathered here who are protesting a fetal heartbeat bill that's about to pass through the South Carolina State House. Did you think that in 2021 that women would still be fighting for the right to an abortion?
Oh, my Lord, no. I thought we were finally moving in the right direction. And now it's just horrifying to me that the Republicans primarily in the legislature have chosen to go down this path again.
SB 1, the first bill of the new session in the South Carolina State Senate, bans abortion here after an embryo shows cardiac activity, which is usually around 6 weeks after conception. There are exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. The state legislature has been trying to pass this kind of strict abortion regulation for years. Last November, Democrats in the state lost Senate seats, giving Republicans the vote advantage they needed to finally get it passed.
Time has expired. Polls are closed. Clerk will tabulate by a vote of 79 to 35.
This vote is the latest step in a decades-long march to overturn Roe v. Wade. Activists won a lawsuit to reach the Supreme Court to relitigate a standard set by Roe, that a fetus becomes viable at 24 weeks. Other states have passed similar measures, but South Carolina is the first to pass since Justice Amy Coney Barrett was sworn in last fall. The bill would affect the 3 clinics left in the state, who've managed to survive regulations on everything from the size of a room for the procedure to the width of doorways.
This is a vaginal probe. So this goes inside a woman's vagina, and that's the transducer that allows us to look at her internal organs.
This new legislation would require you to use this on a patient?
No matter what. Whether we clinically feel the need to do an ultrasound or not, the new legislation would require us to do it.
Dr. Ferris drove in from out of state to work in this clinic, since it got a surge of new appointments at the start of the year, many made by women who fear getting any kind of reproductive care here will only get harder.
Doctor, can you explain in your medical view what this fetal heartbeat bill is about?
Well, that's a complete misnomer. It's an abortion ban. This is completely unconstitutional. Roe absolutely established the right to abortion pre-viability. There is a lot of people saying, well, because this embryonic cardiac flicker is visible, that means that this is a viable baby. It is not. There is no way that a 6 or a 7-week embryo could survive outside the womb, outside of the uterus, no matter how much technology we had to use. Part of the problem with all of these laws is the assumption that women don't think. I mean, that women are incapable of thinking about decisions and making decisions without the intervention of the state. And that is ridiculous and offensive and misogynistic.
Is there any medical reason why this bill is attached to this idea of a fetal heartbeat? Is there a reason medically why you would not want to get an abortion after that time period?
No, not at all. It's just an excuse to take away bodily autonomy from women, their right to decide when and if to parent.
Critics, like State Senator Mia McLeod, point out that victims of rape or incest will have a hard time getting an exception under the law, which requires them to report what happened to law enforcement, and many victims don't. To prove her point, she shared her story.
You're looking at a sexual assault survivor who, like most women and girls, didn't tell my parents, didn't report the crime to law enforcement, didn't tell anybody. Not because I didn't want to, and definitely not because I didn't need to, but because I was afraid to.
Senator, why did you share your story a few weeks ago related to this abortion ban?
I knew when I got up to speak that I wouldn't be changing minds or votes on the issue. I wasn't talking to my colleagues. I was talking to the women and girls across South Carolina who needed to know that someone was speaking up for them.
What will happen to women and girls in South Carolina when this passes?
I'm hoping that it gets their attention that this is just the beginning. I mean, this is an erosion of our rights and our healthcare decisions. It's the beginning of the end if we're not careful. And one of the other things that I hope it does is, besides putting women and girls across South Carolina on notice, that there is an all-out war on us as it relates to our ability to have bodily autonomy and to just make the decisions that every human being should have a right to make about our lives going forward. If this is the priority during a global pandemic, we make an anti-abortion bill that's so not about life and not about abortion. It's anti-women. To make that our priority should scare every woman and every girl and every man who loves a woman or a girl in this state.
Planned Parenthood's been in a long fight to protect women's access to abortion and filed a lawsuit the same day that South Carolina's governor signed the bill into law.
This is a great day. It's a happy day. There are a lot of happy hearts beating right now all across South Carolina.
The suit over SB 1 names the state's attorney general.
I've heard Republican lawmakers in this state say that they hope that this reaches the Supreme Court. Is that your hope?
We're going to give this bill every defense we can, all the way to the Supreme Court, if that's what it takes.
Do you feel like this is fair for the women of South Carolina who are now going to be kind of caught in this political limbo?
Well, for me, the most fundamental right any human being has, man or woman, is the right to life. And our job is to give a voice to that belief system. And again, I'm going to let the court documents that we're going to be filing speak for me from this point forward. But again, for me, this is not about man versus woman. This is life versus death. At the end of the day, my job as the Attorney General is to represent the state of South Carolina in court. The state of South Carolina, myself, have been sued. We're going to represent this bill. We're going to give it a defense. There is no greater right than the right to life, and that is why we're going to represent this bill.
Nearly 24 hours later, a federal judge temporarily blocked the bill, calling it, quote, plainly unconstitutional, and said she would hold hearings before it could go into effect. For some women in South Carolina, this means the fight continues.
It's really ridiculous that they're actually making a ban like this. I feel like there's bigger issues out here in this world rather than you focus on banning abortions for women out here. That's really ridiculous.